All righty. Well, welcome back, mathematicians. Today's lesson is about the distributive property. You can see on page 209 in your Go Math book, page 209. It's called, I know I made a sign and everything, it's called the distributive property. Woo, woo, woo. And so I dropped my mouse. With the distributive property, you are learning how to multiply when you just don't have the facts memorized yet. So this property goes like this. Chop, 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 and chop, and chop, and chop. Oh, now we have two pieces. It takes apart numbers, just like I took apart this sign, is the distributive property. Okay, now to warm us up on your whiteboard, I would like you to simply write the number 5. Just write the number 5. Now, underneath the number 5, I would like you to think about ways that you could divide 5 up. Meaning this, I'll do this one with you. I can divide 5, like I'm thinking of two numbers that can be added together to equal 5. Two numbers that could be added together to equal 5. So I think a 2 and a 3. 2 and 3 equal 5, right? Is there another way I could divide up the number 5? Derek, thanks.
3 plus 2.
Okay, so just the opposite of this, yes. Is there another way, Jackson?
1 plus 4.
You've got it. You've got it.
And 4 plus 1.
Oh, you're so silly. Go both ways. 4 plus 1, 1 plus 4. Okay, so there's really two different ways I could divide up the 5. That is half the battle today for figuring out distributive property. That is half the work right there. All right, let's try another one. How about the number? I'm going to work with some odd numbers here because even numbers, you usually know that they're doubled. So the even number, or excuse me, the odd number I'm going to work with is 7. How could I divide up 7? What plus what could equal 7? Annie.
4 plus 3 and 3 plus 4.
Okay, 4 plus 3 or 3 plus 4. Those are two numbers that when added together can equal 7. Is there any other way?
6 plus 1.
6 plus 1, that's another way. Good. All right, so this could be, I'm going to shorten these. What's that?
I got another one.
All right, what's another one?
5 plus 2.
Oh, good. 5 plus 2. Look at all these ways. Just for a 7. Yes, Colton.
8 minus 1.
8 minus 1. Yes, that would be 1. For today's lesson, though, we are only focusing on what plus what equals that number. And it looks like we got a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. 7 plus 0, of course, but we're not doing 7. We're not doing zeros or 7s. I mean, use the same number in the sentence. So what we did, just like with the sign, where we had it together and we took it apart, that's what we're doing with numbers today. All right, we're taking the numbers apart to actually make it easier to multiply. The purpose of this is to make it easier to multiply. All right, so let me show you an example of this distributive, means to pull apart, property. Okay, so for example, if you are looking at page 209, you'll see a story problem that reads, Mark bought 6 new fish for his aquarium. He paid $7 for each fish. How much money did he spend in all? My goal is to, I'm going to do my actually whiteboard this way, is to multiply, as you can see the problem on that page, times 7. 6 times 7. But guess what? Oh, Mrs. Kodish, this is the beginning of multiplication. I don't know my facts by heart. So give me another way. Okay, I will. So I'm talking to myself. I'm going to give you another way to work this out if you don't have these memorized yet, which I would never expect you to by now anyway. All right, so I'm going to pick one of these numbers. In fact, it's usually a good idea to pick the first one. So I'm going to pick the first one and divide this up into 2 numbers. What plus what equals 6? What plus what equals 6? Derek?
5 plus 1.
I could do 5 plus 1. Let's do that. 5, and this is how I would write it actually. I'd write it underneath it just like this. Now, because I took apart the 6 into 2 separate numbers, that doesn't mean it changes my answer. Now, my second step is going to multiply both of these numbers by 7. Both of these numbers by 7. Okay, so we divided up the 6. We started with this problem. Too hard. I'm going to make it more simple for myself. So I am again dividing this up to a 5 and a 1 and multiplying them by 7. Now I know my 5s because I've been counting by 5s for years. So I'm going to count 7 5s. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35. 35 is 5 7s. All right. And then I know the identity property says anything times 1 is itself. So I'm just going to bring the 7 over. Okay, we're not done yet though. This is the fun part. We're not done yet. We have to then add these numbers together to get this final product. Now, is that a lot of work? Yeah, a little bit, but it'll get us our answer. So 35 plus 7, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42. I got 42. So what does that mean? That means 6 times 7 is 42. Is 42. Okay, now what did we do? Let's recap. Let's think about this. What we did, just like we did with the sign, we took it apart. We took this first number and we took it apart into a 5 and a 1. I could have done a 3 and a 3 or a 4 and a 2. Those all add up to 6. It wouldn't matter which one you chose. You're still going to have to multiply each one of those numbers by 7. And you would still end up with the same number of 42, the same product as 42. Whoo, doggies. Okay, let's watch a little video to see if this video can help to explain as well, just seeing a different type of example. All right, I'm going to share my screen with the sound this time. Okie dokie. Come on. Come on, computer, don't fail me now. Oh, I never deleted these a long time ago. Silly Mrs. Kodish. Here we go. Okay, so let's watch how they would work out this problem, actually making arrays. This problem reads, Mark bought 8 new fish for his aquarium. Weird. This is very similar to the one we just did. He paid $6 for each fish. How much did he spend in all? So let's take a little listen to how
He
they
paid
work this out.
$6 for each fish. How much did he spend in all?
Okay, let's unlock this
Let's
problem.
unlock the problem. Describe the groups in this problem. There are 8 groups of $6. To find the total amount spent, you need to multiply the cost of each fish by the number of fish. So you need to find 8 times $6. Use square tiles to solve the multiplication problem. Make an array with tiles to show 8 rows of 6.
Okay, so I showed you how to do distributive property with numbers. Now, again, they're displaying this as squares, as making arrays. So let's make 8 rows of 6. 8 rows of 6. Watch how this is done.
Notice the array shows 8 times 6. Now break apart the array to make 2 smaller arrays for facts you know. Breaking apart a larger array into 2 smaller arrays makes the problem easier to solve.
So just like we broke apart the 6 into a 5 and a 1, that's what they're doing here, only with a picture. They just draw a line somewhere on this array to divide it up. Let's watch.
How can you use the smaller arrays to find the product? You can find the product for each smaller array. Think 6 is equal to 3 plus 3. Then multiply each addend, 3, by 8. Add the products of 8 times 3. 8 times 6 is equal to 48. You used the distributive property to solve the problem. The distributive property says multiplying a sum by a number is the same as multiplying each addend by that number and then adding the products. So Mark spent $48 for his new fish. What other ways could you break apart the 8 by 6 array? You can break the array into 8 rows of 4 squares and 8 rows of 2 squares. 8 times 4 plus 2.
So he's writing it a little differently. He's putting it in parentheses, the 4 and the 2 in parentheses, but he's doing exactly what I just showed you on the whiteboard. So don't let that confuse you. It's showing exactly what we did on the whiteboard. So again, they're asking, how could I break up a 6? We broke it up on our whiteboard 5 and 1, but as he's showing you, you could have done 3 and 3 for 6. You could do 4 and 2. So there's many different ways to break up 6. But they're just showing you how you're going to see it in your math book, broken up. This is how you would see it in your math book.
Equals 48. You could also break the array into 4 rows of 6 squares and 4 rows of 6 squares. 4 times 6 plus 4 times 6 is equal to 48.
Whew. You got that, people? I know, right? What? This was always a property that took me a while, and it's always taken my students every year a while.
Show how you can break apart this 5 by 8 array
Watch
into
this
2
one.
smaller arrays for facts you know.
So break that up into smaller facts that you know. I always like to think of this kind of problem like, I use the bigger number to break apart. So I would break apart the 8 because I already know my 5s. So maybe if I were to break apart this problem, I might break apart the 8. And remember, if you break apart the 8, what plus what equals 8? So there's a lot of examples. We could do 4 and 4. We could do 6 and 2. Pick the numbers that you could work best with. I always suggest 2s, 4s, 5s, because those are easiest, and I like easy.
What if you break the array into
There we go.
5 rows of 4 squares and 5 rows of 4 squares? What numbers do you multiply?
Okay, so if we broke up the 8, then I still have to keep the 5. I'm not breaking apart both numbers. This is sometimes a problem with some of my students. Don't break apart both numbers, only break apart one of them. Only one of them. So because we broke apart the 8, the 5 still has to multiply by both of those numbers now. Both of those numbers now. I'm not sure what he said. I think he said, so 5 and 4 are my multiples. I don't know why it says 2 there. 5 and 4. Let's find out. I don't know if that's what he wants. Oh,
You're right. Each group has 5 rows of 4 tiles, so you multiply 5 and 4. What products do you add?
so 5 times 4 is 20. And then 5 times 4 again is 20. So you'd add those two answers together to equal.
Good job. You'll add 20 and 20. Now here's how you can use the distributive property to complete the problem. Multiplying a sum by a number is the same as multiplying each addend by the number and then adding the products. So 5 times 8 equals 40.
Whew. I don't know about you, but whew, tell ya. All right, friends, I think the best way to learn this would actually just be to keep trying it. And practicing makes really good, so let's practice. Yes, Colton.
Does it matter which number you break apart?
Great question. No, it does not matter. It does not matter which number you break apart. Nope. So let me give you another problem here. Looking again at your book, so we can see an example there. Let's try it the way he gave instructions for before. We're not going to try a big number like they have there. What about if we just try 4 times 3? Write the problem and then make an array. And you want to have room above your array and below your array. So 4 times 3. Show an array of 4 rows of 3. 4 rows of 3. Okay, ready? Now we're going to do some choppy choppy. And I'm going to chop it just maybe in half. Just put a line through maybe just in half. Now what this says is I have 2 rows of 3. And again here, 2 rows of 3. So my 2 multiplication problems would be 2 times 3 and 2 times 3. Once I figure out those, I add them together to get my product for 4 times 3. So let's try that. What are 2 3s? How much would 2 3s be? So that's 3 plus 3. Ian's showing me with his fingers, 6. And if I know it there, then I know it here. Then add those babies together. 6 plus 6 is 12. That's right, Derek. I saw your lips. 12. So what does that mean? It means 4 times 3 is 12. The product is 12. Now, do you have to do this with arrays, drawing out arrays for each problem? Goodness, no. No, no, no. If that helps you, use it as a resource for you. But drawing arrays is a little more confusing to me, but if it works for you, please use that way. Let's take a look, boys and girls, at page 210 in your Go Math book, page 210, number 2. Number 2. So I did some, we did some, now you are going to try some. Let's see, number 2 is, the directions read, write one way to break apart the array. So how would you break that array up? I would write it, write the problem that it's showing. So write the problem that it's showing, then write the 2 problems that you made from that first one. So for example, we can do number 2 together and then you can do number 3 maybe. So for example, looking at that array, how many rows are there in that array on number 2? How many rows? Clara? She says 8. 8 rows. Oh, you're looking at columns. Okay, okay. So 8 columns and how many rows? You should give me a high five. 5. There's 5 rows. So that's one that we just did. Now what I want you to do, would you break up the 5? Probably not. You might know your 5s. Let's break up the 8. That's the bigger number. So I'm not going to break up the 5. So I'm just going to bring the 5 down to these 2 problems. Let's talk about how to break up the 8. What plus what is 8? What plus what is 8? If we do this step by step, you'll get it. It just takes a little bit of time for it to go click, click, click. I get it. Joshua.
4.
Okay, so we saw in the example we could do 4 and 4. Is there another way? That is a way. That's perfect. But is there another way? Clara?
This is actually something. Did you mean the 2 with the check mark by it?
Yes, ma'am. 2 with the check mark. Yep.
Mine has 8 columns and 8 rows.
Are you on page 210?
Yes.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Are you doing rows and columns?
So I counted the rows and then the columns and the, well, hold on.
It should be 5 and 8, sweetie.
Yeah, sorry.
No, you're fine. No, you're fine. Is there another way to divide up the 8? We could do 4 and 4, yes, but we've seen that example. Is there another way? Liana?
7 plus 1.
Okay, I could do 7 plus 1. If you know your 7s, that would be fine. Is there an, I like to look for smaller numbers just because I think smaller numbers would be easier to multiply, but you could definitely do it that way.
What about 5 and 3?
5 and 3, okay. Let's do that. 5 plus 3 is 8, so that works. Let's find out these products and then add them up. 5 times 5. Ready? Count with me. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. 5 5s is 25. Alrighty then. What is 5? How much are 5 3s? 5 times 3. Count with me. 5, 10, 15. All right, Smarties. Add up 25 plus 15. Janessa, when you're ready, will you tell us what you got? You can unmute when you're ready.
I'm ready.
Okay, tell us what you got.
I got 40 because I added up 5 and 5, and then I got 10. So, and then I put the 0 down underneath the 2 5s, and then I put the 1 up top from the 2 and the 1.
Yes.
And then I got 4 because I counted 3, and then I got another 1, so it was 4. So 40.
That is a wonderful way to explain your answer. Good job, Janessa. So we can say that 5 times 8 is 40. 5 times 8 is 40. Now, I'm going to take this problem and show you how it would look if it were in your Go Math book. Your Go Math book would say, well, show me in parentheses, because I'm going to put an addition sign in between. If you just divided up the 5, or it would be 5 times, or excuse me, yes, 5 times, what did we say, 3, and 5 times 5. This is just the way we just did it, only it's written this way. So they're saying, here's a problem, then add their answers together. It's just written a little bit of a different way. So you'll see that on number 1 in your homework page. So 5 times 3 is 15, plus 5 times 5, which we said was 25. And it still gives us our answer, of course, but they just write it a little differently. So let's take a look together. This is definitely a skill I probably want to spend a couple days on. Let's turn to page 213. Page 213 in your Go Math book. This page has where it says practice and homework. Number 1 through 4 will actually be your homework, but I would like to take a look with you at number 1. You're on page 213. Page 213, number 1, what they did is count the array for the rows and columns, and they must have said that there's 6 rows of 7, 6 rows of 7, because as you can see on number 1, if I were to write that 6 rows of 7, if you look at the answer for number 1 that they already have done for you, it says 3 times 7 and 3 times 7. So that's why it told me 3 plus 3 is 6. That's where this 6 came from. And then 7, you just have to write down for both problems because you'd still have to multiply that 7. And then 3 times 7 is 21. And you'd add those 21s together to get 42. That's how they got their answer. Now, can you use your cheat sheet to help? Yes, but you really should try a few problems without using your cheat sheet. So before we go into spring math, I would like to see if you could do number 2. Number 2 on your homework. You are writing down the problem that you see in the array, from the array, and then you're separating it so it's easier to multiply. What number are we doing? Write it on your whiteboard. Number 2, page 213. Number 2, page 213. Yes, Nora, sorry. Sorry, we can't hear each other, honey. Poor girl. Okay, 30 seconds. And then you're all going to show me. This is your ticket to be done. Show me how you worked out number 2. Okay, let's see. Reveal. It's hard to see your math book, guys. Okay. Well, I can't see I can see that you did it. I just can't see what you're writing, loves. Okay. Oh, Annie, you spent your time making an array. Woo! But how would you break that apart? Show me distributive property, guys. Oh, I see that one of the twins divided it up, wrote a line to divide it up. Okay. Joshua, all right. You did it 7 times 4 and 7 times 4, so you divided up the 8 into a 4 and a 4. All right, I did it with a 3 and a 5, but it looks like we both got the same answer. We both got 56. So that, what does that show us? That shows us that we can divide up a number in different ways and still get the same product. So again, this is just a tool to use for multiplying numbers that we're not sure of the products. So if these bigger numbers, especially, we're not ready to memorize them maybe, but you should be thinking about memorizing some, of course. But if I don't have them memorized yet, I have to have another way. I have to have another way. And distributive property is just one of those ways that you could use to help. One of the ways you could use to help. Now, all you have to do for the rest of your homework, loves, is try number 3 and 4, which are just story problems. Okay, now we have the hard task. It's not hard, I'm just kidding. We have the task of doing spring math. So I would like you, I know I totally failed at doing it every day last week. We just didn't have time, and so we just didn't. But what I would like you to do is get out your spring math packet, the one actually that says, that one packet from last week will just be practice. You can just practice on that one. But then this week, I'm definitely getting a score from you. So we definitely want to practice correctly and how to do it. So the packet you're looking for spring math, oh my goodness, too many papers, Mrs. Kodesh. Okay, it says week of November 2nd through the 6th. You can see November. I am not taking a score from you, meaning I'm not going to ask you what you got today or tomorrow or Wednesday or Thursday, but I'll ask you on Friday what your score is, and hopefully that'll be the best day of the week, your best score of the week. So again, this is spring math week of November 2nd through the 6th is what it looks like. I'll give you a second to find it. And you know, with spring math, we need a pencil and a correction tool. We need both things. So give you a second to find those. We'll get in the habit of just doing this every day so we won't have to take time, but we're just not there yet. Yes, Lena?
Carmen can't find it.
Okay, I'm sure you have it because you've had everything else.
What is the first problem?
Just take a second to find it, honey. Last week's was this one. It didn't have a date on it. This week's says the date, 2nd through the 6th. The first problem is 10 plus 1.
I found it.
Good, I knew you would. I'll give you about 30 more seconds, then we'll get going. It'll get faster and faster every day. We'll get in the habit. We'll get there. Now, the goal of spring math is to talk about math, is to talk about the numbers and the thinking process that your brain goes through to be able to add up these numbers quickly, or whatever the skill happens to be. So I think it's really good practice to repeat that every day, every day, every day. Oh, how would my brain think today? And although we're not working in groups, we know with a partner for this type of spring math yet, I think that you could still get some benefits out of practicing, because I think repeating things is really good practice. So repeating the skill many times until we get it, I think will really help out. So I am using a marker to write my answers, because rather than a pencil, just so you can see them on the overhead. So I'm going to share my screen and let's do some math talk. All right. Talk about math. Here we go. You can see my screen, so you can see the problem. And I can see you on one of my screens and the problem's on one of my screens. So here we go. All right, let's do the first problem together. The first problem is 10 plus 1. Well, my brain would think that only one more than 10 would be 11. Now, because this is practice, I'm going to do a couple more with you, so you can just hear how my brain would think, and that doesn't mean your brain thinks the same way, but we're just talking math talk. 13 minus 8. The way I would work out this problem would be to add up from 8 to 13. 8 to 13. So 2 more to get to 10, and then 3 more from 10 to get to 13. So that would be 5. That would be 5. So I could even do dots. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. That's 5 dots. 5 dots is my answer, or the number 5. All right, so 8. Well, our focus, we're really trying not to use fingers. I still love fingers as a 43-year-old woman, but you're not supposed to always use fingers and rely on your fingers. So we have to kind of visualize it in our brains. 8 minus 2. Well, if I take 2 away from 8, it would be 6. I could check it by going 6 plus 2 is 8. Yes. Oh, I just said 8, so I wrote 8. Silly, silly. And speaking of that, do you know what's so silly? If you are taking your test and you're trying to do as many problems as possible in 2 minutes, try not to erase. Erasing takes too much time. Just squiggle it out just like I did and put the answer that you really want. Or just put a line through it and put the answer that you really want. It saves a lot of time. Yes, Annie.
I don't have the same packet. This was the only packet that I got.
There are 2 packets in your bag, so I'm going to have you look around a little bit, or just do one of the ones that you have sitting there, and we'll correct that one separately later. Okay, we're going to count these 3 as our total, so that'll be nice. You're going to have 2 minutes to try to do as many problems as you can. Remember to work across to the right. Do not skip any problems. If you are sitting on a problem, like can't figure it out after like 10 seconds, even 5, guess and move on. Guess and move on. All right, so your next problem you're going to do by yourself when I say go with your pencils. When I say go with your pencil, the next problem is going to be 18 plus 0, plus 0. All right, and pencils ready? You may begin.
I can't find my math.
Hey, pencils down. All righty. Let's correct. Correction tool in hand. Landon, you're staying afterwards. Don't leave when everyone else leaves, okay? All right. Okay, here we go. So remember that if it is incorrect, you can just put a line through it with your correction tool and just leave it at that. And then we'll count up the number correct at the end, the number correct at the end. This one was 6. I was just showing an example, of course. 18 plus 0 is 18. 16 plus 0 is 16. 0 minus 0 is 0. Okay, second row. 17 plus 1 is 18. 6 plus 5 is 11. 16 minus 14 is 2. 4 minus 3 is 1. 10 plus 4 is 14. 8 plus 10 is 18. Okay, third row. 14 minus 12 is 2. 9 plus 7 is 16. 19 minus 1 is 18. 20 minus 9 is 11. 1 minus 1 is 0. 13 plus 3 is 16. Keep going. Shake a yes or a Noah. Okay, I see yes. All right, wonderful. Next row, 15 plus 0 is 15. 3 minus 2 is 1. 5 minus 0 is 5. 1 minus 0 is 1. 3 plus 3 is 6. 12 plus 4 is 16. Okay, keep going. I see yes, keep going. Wonderful. Next row, 8 plus 0 is 8. 2 plus 15 is 17. 14 plus 0 is 14. 2 minus 1 is 1. 12 minus 8 is 4. 18 plus 2 is 20. Keep going. Okay. Yes. Okay. That's great. Next row is 12 plus 1 is 13. 11 plus 8 is 19. 3 plus 10 is 13. 10 plus 8 is 18. 16 plus 1 is 17. 5 minus 1 is 4. Yes, keep going. Okay. Remember, if you're finished, you could always use your correction tool to beat the teacher. Keep going. Keep going. Next row, 18 minus 4 is 14. 19 minus 2 is 17. 8 minus 5 is 3. 13 plus 7 is 20. 18 plus 1 is 19. 1 plus 0 is 1. Keep going. Oh my goodness. Okay, next row. 4 plus 5 is 9. 9 plus 11 is 20. 18 minus 15 is 3. 5 minus 4 is 1. 7 minus 5 is 2. 19 minus 12 is 7. Oh my, look at you. Okay, last row. 1 plus 6 is 7. 15 minus 9 is 6. 7 minus 2 is 5. 3 minus 3 is 0. 10 plus 0 is 10. And 14 minus 3 is 11. No more? Okay, what you would do is add up your total correct. So the number correct, and you put that right down there. Now on a Friday, you would show me your results, but today, that is, you do not have to show me your results. Not until Friday. Not until Friday when, so you're gonna wanna keep this stapled to the rest of the packet so you can see how much you improve on each day. You can totally see. So day 2 tomorrow is the next page after this. And we'll just see, hopefully we'll be better even by 1 tomorrow. All right, so this will get faster and faster each time. Thank you for being so patient and wonderful about this today. And was I never sharing? No, I did share my screen, thank goodness. Okay, so any questions before you go?